In 1974, two teenagers went on a drunken rampage through Elmira. They slashed tires, broke fences, and smashed windows on 22 different properties. Instead of going to jail, their parole officer suggested that as part of their sentence, they be required to meet with their victims, see face-to-face the people they had harmed, learn the impact of their actions, and then work to restore damages. This case set the legal precedent in North America for what would become a global movement in criminal justice reform, restorative justice. Increasingly, over the past half a century, communities around the world have developed restorative practices or revitalized Indigenous justice systems that have a restorative framework when responding to what criminal research shows us are failing criminal justice systems. Today, restorative justice practices operate around the globe in juvenile courts, criminal courts, school conflicts, property disputes, you name it. So my research looks at the local agency in Waterloo region that came out of that Elmira case. This agency, like so many around the world, relies on community volunteers to provide cost-effective and community-based restorative justice programming. So naturally, my research focused on that volunteer experience. I wanted to understand, through dialoguing with these volunteers, where they found meaning in restorative justice. What was meaningful about spending a night each week to sit with a woman in prison, about mediating someone else's conflict, about facilitating a support group for sexual offenders. I wanted to understand what was meaningful enough in restorative justice to spark and maintain this global revolution in how we think about and do justice. And what resonates with me from what these volunteers shared is their sense of hope in an alternative. Confronted with a failing criminal justice system that refuses to address root causes, that doesn't allow for healthy ways in which to take responsibility, that locks people up and throws away the key, these volunteers have chosen to believe in an alternative vision for how we address conflict. Their volunteer work is meaningful because it lives out their vision of a restorative justice, a vision that sees victims and offenders first as humans in pain, that addresses harm, takes responsibility, and then moves forward from conflict to restore relationship. As one volunteer shared with me, engaging in this alternative framework of justice is meaningful because it creates in me a sense of optimism for the world, that it is possible to grow, it is possible to love, and in situations where everything seems impossible, there is still always hope. Thank you.